Professor Michael Drinkwater had his first astronomy experience as an undergraduate, and he's been looking at the stars ever since. His research has led him to specialise in dwarf galaxy formation and star formation in galaxies and other imponderable questions of cosmology. He joins us today from Brisbane, where he is the head of physics at the University of Queensland. Michael Drinkwater, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here.
Michael, what is it about stars and astronomy that first captured your attention all those years ago when you first peered into a telescope?
Well, it was even before I went looking in a telescope. I do remember, for some crazy reason, sitting on the roof of my parents' house when I was little to get a view of the stars. Since then, it's really been a developing interest coming out of my science studies, first at school and then university, until it wasn't until I got to university I got a chance to have a go on actually a radio telescope, and had such a wonderful time that I haven't looked back, and I'm still enjoying looking at the universe with these wonderful instruments. Now,
you've studied something called ultra-compact dwarf galaxies. Is that something you can explain in a couple of sentences?
Yes, it's a really surprising thing we found there. We were looking at a group of galaxies relatively nearby in the universe, and using some new Australian technology we're able to get a more complete measurement of all the objects in one patch of sky. This hadn't been done before, and we were very surprised that some of the tiny objects we saw were not in fact single stars in our own galaxy, but actually entirely new galaxies themselves sitting in between the normal galaxies. They're about 1 million times smaller than what we previously thought a galaxy should look like.
They're astonishing findings. What sort of effect does it have on you personally when you come across something like that?
Oh, it's funny. The first time you look at it, you're convinced you made a mistake. It's just something wrong if it doesn't fit. But the key is just persevering, and 99 times out of 100 it is a mistake, but there's always that chance that you found something new, and that's what the joy of scientific research should be all about.
Is it true now that scientists believe that the universe had a beginning?
Yes, we have had that view now for, I suppose 80 odd years. It was actually a bit of a shock, because scientists, before the Big Bang, that's what we call it, before we really got convinced the Big Bang happened, scientists were happier with a universe that went on forever. Philosophically, they thought that was a better idea, but eventually the evidence accumulated and convinced everyone that it had to have had a beginning.
Does that challenge some people's worldview in terms of a scientific understanding of the Earth, of the universe?
Yes, I don't know a lot about the philosophy at the times. This was in the 1950s through to the 1960s, but there was a very well-held model called the steady-state universe, which had a universe going on forever, and that had to be overturned by the new evidence that the universe started with the Big Bang at a particular time.
Does it also have implications for an ending for the universe?
It may or may not. Up to about 10, 15 years ago, the question was open. We knew there'd been a beginning, and the mathematics told us that there could be an end, or the universe might go on forever. In the last 10 years or so, new data has become available, and from our current understanding, the universe is expanding ever faster, in fact, so it will never stop expanding and collapse to give us an end point. It will go on forever. But whether life, as we know it, can go on in those circumstances is an entirely different question.
With the beginning of the universe, do you think that has implications theologically?
Certainly, you can look at the philosophical question, and in the 1950s, the scientists were happy with a universe that didn't have a beginning, and the theology is very clear that there is a beginning. And then the new results led all the scientists, the astronomers, to believe the Big Bang theory, which gives you a beginning, and suddenly the two were in agreement, in fact. But there is a danger. I wouldn't like to, sort of speaking as a Christian, like to say my theology is correct because the current scientific theory happens to agree with it, because in a few years' time we might have a new theory.